Crypto's dying out in a historic Bitcoin rally. Now, humor me the titles because there's probably only so long we have left until we can continue to use the bearish, depressing titles. But of course, the doomsdayers will continue that on throughout the bull market. Now, I've said two major things here. Crypto's dying out and Bitcoin's historic bull run. That's what I want to look at in today's video to explain how altcoins are dying out, obviously show the Bitcoin historic rally, and what you can do to find cryptocurrencies which aren't dying out, or hopefully protect your portfolios from cryptocurrencies which are going to the grave. Make sure you have liked, subscribe to the channel, bell notification icon. We are your home of macro cycle analysis across Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, the stock market, commodities, real estate, you name it. We got a macro cycle on investing. All right, guys, the first chart I've got here is the Bitcoin dominance. Now, we've talked about the historic rise and rally of the Bitcoin cycle coming in from the low. And I happen to find a couple of news articles here coming in from the low period, November 12th, and the Bitcoin low itself was between the 7th and the 21st. So we had those 3 weeks there at the lows. Now, the historic rise here has been up 100% from those lows in pretty reasonable fashion. And at that exact time, I was saying don't count on Bitcoin crashing to $10,000. I'm glad these articles held this up because it's much easier to find here. And these are some of the things that I was looking at specifically around the timing of the cycle. And this is going to play an important part of timing into the altcoin seasons. And I hear it all the time. You know, we know the saying, don't try and time it, don't try and time the markets, you're never going to win, etc., etc. Look, the main thing is timing is the easiest thing that we have on our side. Price is more difficult. It's more difficult to figure out where the price will end. It's much easier to figure out when the trend will end because we've got plenty of different tools to use for that, like our significant swing chart here. Now, the other article that came up here was December 24. I bring this up just for a brief moment, so humor me quickly here. This was at the exact time that we had some other channels, some big media players talking about recessions and crashes and whatnot. This was just in the recent video. And at that exact time here, I was looking at the market holding clues for the next cycle to start from a low. And so what I said in this video here, a direct quote from it, for the last two bear market cycles, Bitcoin, for BTC, the swings have called the end of the bear market. Once these swings have broken to the upside, that's the end of the bear market. However, the news is still going to be very negative, so don't let that put you off. That was in December of 2022. I bring this up because it is going to be the exact same thing for altcoins. Now, if we're only looking at altcoins versus the US dollar and in short-term timeframes, hours, maybe trade on minutes, hours, or days, different story. But if you're trying to load up a bag here, dollar cost average into an altcoin that's you're going to spread over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, whatever you've chosen to do there, then this is going to be critical so that you don't lose more money. Hopefully, I've been able to demonstrate the importance of following a chart rather than news, rather than major media headline players out there which are disguised as information and education, not having to go at people individually, plenty of fantastic people. It's just the analysis that we are looking at here, because the whole idea here is to make as much money from the market as we possibly can. And that's what I intend to show you here, just like we do with our investor report. So it's our alpha report that comes out once every 2 weeks. If you want to get on board with that, link is in the top of the video description, plus our TIA premium memberships that go through hours and hours of content on how to structure a plan, the understandings of technical analysis, accumulation, distributions, exits, and entries. There is a ton of content there, including a deep dive into what I'm talking about in today's video, rules for buying altcoins in a Bitcoin bull market, the timing, the swings, everything like that. So I want to give you an understanding of what we're looking at in today's video. So I've covered some of the basics so far. The next thing I'm looking at is the Fear and Greed Index. Not only has it hit 69 for today, you can enjoy your fun dad jokes down below, but it's the high for the year so far. So this is the highest greed that we have seen for the crypto fear and greed index throughout 2023. So we need the greed to be relatively high so that you can get that feel and that excitement to go and gamble on some shitcoins. Now you can see that people have started gambling on the shitcoins. I'm not in the space to go and gamble on them in a short-term perspective. I'm looking more long-term, and I want to show you what that looks like on a chart, and specifically how long I would look to stay in an altcoin based on history. So it's just the technical data that I'm looking at here. I'm not getting hooked up on the bandwagons of the individual altcoins, getting super emotionally attached to them, getting married to them, and then holding them all the way down for a 90% loss. It's not what we do. We've talked specifically about that with our members in TIA Premium, where we were selling out of all of our altcoins as the bull market began to turn into a bear market early in 2022 and late 2021. All the altcoins, throw them to the sideline. They are all going to be absolute garbage. So what we've seen in the last couple of days here is the altcoins, which is total 3, outpacing the total, so total 1, which is all the cryptocurrencies. So this is just a broad overview of how to determine whether they're going up, which one's leading the charge, that sort of thing. The other thing we use is the Bitcoin dominance. And as you can see from the last week, BTC did come up just barely touch on 49% on the dominance, which means that Bitcoin has been taking away a lot of the gains from the entire market, whether it's stablecoins, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's altcoins, just basically everything in the space. But in the last week, the dominance has dropped off from that resistance level at around 49%. Obviously, we now know that's based on Ethereum taking a lot more ground from the space. It's pretty much Ethereum, and then the last couple of days we've seen altcoins also start to move a little bit, which then takes the dominance away from Bitcoin. So of course, this chart will show that as it's happening. The other things I've noted on this chart is how the cycles work through Bitcoin dominance increasing, which means Bitcoin's going up faster relative to the rest of the cryptocurrency space, or how Bitcoin is dropping compared to the rest of the cryptocurrency space. So basically the dominance is not gaining as fast as the other altcoins. Yes, there's going to be plenty of people that say you're wasting your time on Bitcoin or Ethereum. You might as well go with altcoins, take the gamble and try to get your 100x. The majority of these people lose. It is guaranteed that the majority of these people will lose because this is the markets and most people don't have a plan. They just gamble, hoping for the best. But there will be some big altcoin pumps before we get to the major altcoin pump. The major altcoin pump is the one that I like to trade in, the one I like to trade, or as other people do, is gamble in. What I'm looking for there is a big breakdown of technical structure. So the main thing here, you can see Bitcoin started to break down. This is the major altcoin season here in 2021. There's a top there, 73.5%, all the way down to 39.5%. So a huge breakdown in the dominance. They're the areas on the dominance chart that we're looking for. So you can see the breakdown was around here at 57 or so percent, and then it really started to rocket down. So there's the level there. There's your 57% of support. Market breaks down, and you can see that just accelerates from that point. That's why, technically speaking, it's a better time if you're looking for fast gains or you're looking for a safer entry. That is going to be the entry point that you want to get in on for the altcoin season. Not only is that a safer entry point, because you see the breakdown, there's plenty of areas to protect yourself through that point. You can also put your stops up a bit higher, but from that point, it increases in speed. This is like the time in 2021 when everyone's getting super excited. You can bang on about how much money you're making to your friends, all that sort of thing. And this is basically 7 weeks. You can see that's 7 bars. You can see this is weeks. Through that period, that is the fastest time you're going to make money. These times now, where the market is going up and you can see Bitcoin dominance just dropping off a little bit, it's very slow gains. It's very slow times as well, and it's pretty much short-lived. So you take your pick. You want to play the short, slow game. If you're only spot trading, then it's much higher risk because you just don't know how long this is going to go on for. It could be a week or two. Maybe it's 5 days. Who knows? Maybe it's an extended period. Maybe it's a few weeks. But this is the easiest period, the lowest risk, because you have multiple times you can enter into that peak of the altcoins. And then you still have plenty of time to get out once those altcoins have hit their limit and then dump to the other side, which I'll show you as well. And I'll show you some of the mistakes that I've made through my 2 major altcoin seasons of 2017 and 2021. There's plenty of those altcoin seasons in between, just like there was DeFi summer in 2020 before the major altcoin season took off. And maybe we'll get something like this in 2023 or 2024. If we look at a timing perspective, this was after the Bitcoin halving event. So Bitcoin halved in around May of 2020, so right around here. And then it lost its dominance and we had a narrative pump. And the narrative at the time that was strong was DeFi. Is DeFi going to come back? Anyone's guess, but I would rather bet on it'll be a new narrative. It's typically a new narrative. We haven't seen a repeat of a narrative throughout the entire history of cryptocurrency. Yes, layer ones have moved and they've moved again, but it wasn't the leading narrative. So if you want to bet on something that has had a 100% success rate, don't bet on that it's going to be a repeat of a previous narrative. Go through and figure out what the previous narratives were. We know there was DeFi summer. We know in 2021, we had the NFTs and the metaverse and the gaming and all that sort of garbage pump. We've had layer twos pump. We've had privacy coins in the old days. We had the ICOs in the old days, which was basically on Ethereum. There's a lot of different narrative pumps that we've had in the past. And what we know for sure, this is not an opinion. It's not made up. It's not subjective. It is objective, and we have the data to show no narrative has pumped twice and to the same extent that it did in the first instance. So I'm going to bet on that and then wait to see what some of the narratives come through. AI might be a bit too early for the major altcoin season like this. So maybe we get the old AI pump through the DeFi summer, and maybe that comes in the next few months in 2023 or 2024. We don't know just yet. Maybe it's now and it doesn't even get too much of a move. We're going to have to wait and see. But ideally, they're the times that we're waiting for the major altcoin seasons, potentially a breakdown of around the 39 or 38% level of the Bitcoin dominance. So there's going to be big moves throughout this period of whatever this trading range is, between 38 and 49% for the dominance. So there is going to be altcoin moves to be traded. It's just going to depend on your time frame, whether you're trading on leverage, are you trading spot, and what sort of price targets are you looking for your altcoin. So they're the major things that I'll be looking out for when I'm trying to decide on, is it a short-term altcoin season, which is definitely tradable. I'm not saying not to do it. Do whatever the frig you want to do. Or do you want to take things like we did in the altcoin season and play the bigger moves themselves? Reason being is that we can end up with something like XRP. You can end up with a cryptocurrency like this, which has basically turned to absolute crap. And yes, you can blame it on the SEC came after XRP and this is why they didn't pump in the previous cycle. But pretty much every other cycle never pumps the same as it did in the first cycle. You're just not going to get that same repeat, especially if Bitcoin is also pumping and putting in new all-time highs, because it just puts pressure on the BTC chart of that altcoin. So I remember buying XRP here in April and April of 2017, because it was after that first pump. And then I went on a huge explosion here. It was close to a 10x on the BTC pair, which was even more in a dollar value because Bitcoin was also going up. So if you can't get your head around that, you really need to understand that quite quickly. As I said, we got that in TI Premium. There's a huge masterclass down here, the recent one that I just did. And we got masterclasses on absolutely everything you can think of in cryptocurrency, in trading in general, and it just helps you set up plans for that as well. So that was a big win that I had on XRP back in 2017, but it was a paper win. I was stupid. I was new to this game. I didn't realize that these coins pump and then absolutely get crushed. And then they go on a second pump and get crushed again. In 2017, we were kind of lucky where we got two big pumps, whereas in 2021, we didn't get this huge pump in the second pump for the altcoins against their Bitcoin value. Not all altcoins got it, some of them did, and so you could get out and take your profits. But this I missed out on. I didn't take profits. I watched it come all the way back down because it was the same narrative, the same things that people said over and over again. This thing's going to the moon. You're going to get rich on this. You know, it's basically your ticket to freedom, all that sort of crap. and basically watched it come all the way back down. I added to my position here just above where I had gotten into. So basically averaged myself into this middle part here, watched it come back down, sell out some of it, watch it go back up, and then sold out the rest of it as it came back down again. So from a crypto that I could have made more than 10x on, I basically leveled out, probably made a small profit. I don't remember what it was at the time, but it definitely was nothing like huge gains that you're expecting because you basically wait too long. And if we go back to the dominance chart here, you can see that most of these moves, these major altcoin seasons, you got 5 weeks here. This was the late stage one. This one, there was 25 weeks, but this was a long drawn out alt season where you had multiple smaller sessions within the altcoin season itself. So if we measure just this move here where Bitcoin basically dumped, you had one big week and then the rest of the time was 6 weeks in total. Take this back to this range, to that low, you have approximately 7 bars there. You want to take it to the top, there's 11. So you had a luckier chance in 2017, but it's getting shorter and shorter as the years go on. We also had the DeFi summer, the range to measure there, 14 bars, but that was only DeFi, it wasn't the rest of the altcoin space. And then the major move here was 7 weeks, but if you want to measure it back to the top, which you would have to have bought at the exact low moment or at the exact breakout moment, that's going to be 20 weeks. So there's a good chance in the first run, but not so much in the second run, which we had half of it here in 6 weeks. And then this was to the all-time high. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, basically 8 weeks of good run. And then the market topped out and died from that point in US dollar value as well as BTC value. So they're the big things to keep an eye on, especially if you are holding altcoins from the previous cycle. How can you tell that it's a coin that you should be getting out of and you don't end up in this dead space, which, who knows? XRP, if you love it that much, you're hoping one day it comes back and does a 10x against Bitcoin's value and 20x, who knows, against the US dollar value. How do you know? Well, DOT is a good one to have a look at as an example. You can see it break down from critical support levels here at around 25,000 Satoshis, and it's down and down and down. Whereas some of the other coins, and I'm not saying they're great coins, but Solana is holding up here. So it's holding above these lows against its BTC value. I don't know anything about these fundamentals. I don't care about them for now because I still think it's too early to be getting in for the bigger runs as we've looked at on the Bitcoin dominance. Typically, you just get one major run at the beginning of the bull market when the retail's coming in for the bull market. I've talked about we've already hit a low for Bitcoin. So we're in this sort of first stage of a bull market, but that's around the last stage of the bull market that you get this really big move. So in terms of Solana, I don't think we're there yet. You would see that if we started to break through the tops. You can see resistance here at around 11 or 12,000 points. And that's the next top there at 11.8. Maybe that's 110,000. Basically, you're just looking at the number here on the side. So 12051. That would be the breakout point for the BTC value. That would be the contending point of the altcoin if it was able to break out of previous support and resistance zones for it to outpace the Bitcoin value. That's all you're looking for here. Otherwise, you could just be buying another low point in the market, like the DOT holders who have bought and bought and bought on the way down. And you just end up with an absolute piece of crap in your portfolio, which is underperforming Bitcoin. It's not my opinion of this. I don't care about the project. I'm not married to it. I'd rather have profits in my bank account. You do you, of course, at the end of the day. But this has continued to break down. So it is not keeping pace with Bitcoin. Objectively speaking, my opinions of the project itself being a shitcoin, that's my opinion. Okay, so that's subjective, but objectively looking at this, it's breaking down like an absolute bag of crap. So sorry if I keep mixing up the objective with the subjective viewpoint here, but I just got to have fun with this because it's an absolute piece of crap breaking down. Sand, something is similar where it just keeps breaking down. Everyone keeps buying these lows. Eventually it's going to turn around and they're going to come back and say, yeah, I've bought this thing up and I'm making gains on this, but it's usually the same people that have been buying on each of these dips on the way down. And this is the sign of the altcoin dying out, going to the grave, like XRP against its BTC value. Keep that in mind. And the best one of them all is the LTC chart against Bitcoin. I'll let you go and look at that yourself because it's an absolute joke of how much it's gone down, and people continue to buy that thing up like it's going to be a great long-term investment. Now we got to split those up. Long-term versus short-term, two different things here. So let's keep that in mind as well. Short-term, who cares? We could get gains on these, buy them up, ride them to the upside, get out of them, and then watch them plummet again. Or buy them up, watch them run, hold support, buy again, and watch them run again. It's basically trading. We're not trying to hold these things for long-term investments because they're not going to be the next Amazon or Facebook. It's a really, really, really low chance of any of these things being any good, especially with their history already in the market of collapsing like a bag of crap. So I've covered a lot in this video, and if you found some value from it so you can hopefully protect yourself and your portfolios, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get on board with being a TIA member, you can see the links in the top of the video description. There is hours and hours of content to help you be a better trader and investor for the upcoming mega bull markets. We're going to have some small pump and dumps in between, but check out those links in the top of the video description to get refreshed before the markets really kick off. So what we've covered today, where else is it going to kick off? Pretty much you'll get multiple little moves within this trading range of the Bitcoin dominance. There are going to be little altcoin pumps for sure. People are going to call them big pumps because there's really nothing going on. You've got to call it something. And like we've talked about before with the media, any sort of small move here, a few percent down in the dominance, that's going to be a huge excitement for some altcoins because it's been a number of years since we've had any sort of big move. But if we had only just had a big move, the little moves that we're seeing at the moment or may see at the moment wouldn't be anything to wake up for. They'll probably be too small for the majority of people and get stuck in longer term positions, like we saw with the dot chart, with it just continuing down, and the sand chart continuing down. The majority of altcoins are going to look like this. So what do you look out for? Well, things like Solana at this point. I'm not saying it's a great project. Chill out. Don't want to see any of those comments. It's just it's a bit weird when people get really attached to projects, but you want to see some high lows, and more critically, you want to see a breakout of key resistance levels to prove to you that the project is actually doing something, and there are buyers and smart money and investors getting back into the project and holding it for the longer term, not just buying it up like traders for pumps and dumps. Choose who you are, trader or investor. I'll see you guys at the next video, or see you on Twitter, where I've just been putting out another quick crypto simps with my good friend Eric, Crown Crypto Cave over there. Follow us over there. This was just an impromptu stream. I'll see you guys at the next video. And your question, let me know which altcoins you think are going to make it. I'd love to see what people think at this stage in the market. Until next time, peace out.